Welcome, everyone. We are so pleased that you're joining us for the UX and Telehealth Rapid Conference. So really the purpose for events like these is a way to connect the US and primarily EU telehealth startup and enterprise communities to really stimulate some great networking opportunities. Anytime we get to hear from a startup and what they're working on, we all learn, and startups evolve so quickly. So it's great to get a sense of where they are on their journey as they're continuing to build great companies. Startups also benefit from getting a variety of perspectives from a range of different investors. We have some great investors on our panel today. And so with that, we have a lot of great startups to get to. So we'll kick things off. And I'm going to ask each of our judges to introduce themselves. First of all, I'll let you know about me. My name is Sandra Miller, and I am CEO of Runway Innovation Hub. Runway is a San Francisco-based hub. We're located in the Twitter building, and we provide workspace, corporate innovation, and event services to a global community of tech startups and enterprise. Our main focus with Runway is really to curate an optimal community. So for tech startups or people and organizations who engage with tech startups. So that can be investors, that can be large corporations, that can be service providers, a whole range of folks. So we really want to have that great community that's very relevant and supportive of all the great tech startups out there in the world. We have, as I mentioned, a terrific panel of judges. First, I'll ask for Atul Nayak, who is, Atul is Director of External Innovation for Eli Lilly. Atul, can you just give a brief highlight of your work with Lilly?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Sandra. It's really nice to be here today. So as Sandra mentioned, I'm part of the external innovation team at Eli Lilly. Most of you probably know Eli Lilly as a pharmaceutical company working across multiple therapeutic areas, but we are also a large player in delivery devices, connected systems, and digital health across different therapeutic areas. And, we have been transitioning to digital health tools for the last couple of years now. And, I'm excited to see what each of these, the participants today have to present. So excited to be here and good luck.
Terrific. Thank you, Atul. And next up we have Oren Aliani Charas, Dr. Aliani Charas, who is CEO and Managing Partner of the Global Health Impact Fund. Welcome, Oren. And can you please just give a brief background about you and your focus at the Global Health Impact Fund?
Absolutely. Thanks. Hey, good morning, Sandra. It's good to see you. It's nice to be here. My name is Oren Aloni Charas. I am both a doctor and a venture capitalist. I've been an anesthesiologist for 25 years. I work in San Francisco in the Bay Area. And the Global Health Impact Fund is a fund that is put together by doctors. It's a clinician-founded and clinician-driven fund to invest in the greatest innovations that we can find and support them with our network of physicians. So we do a lot of digital health and device with Fund 1. In Fund 2, we hope to include a lot more pharma as well. But right now, our specialties are digital health and devices. And it's a real pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to the pitches. Thank you.
Terrific. And next up, we have Heyyu Huang, who's a partner at Fresco Capital. Heyyu, tell us about your work at Fresco Capital and some other perspectives you might bring to today.
Thanks for having me here. This is Heyyu, partner at Fresco Capital. So we're early stage venture fund at investing at the intersection of people and technology. especially with the focus about education, future work, and digital healthcare. Currently has 3 offices, San Francisco, Tokyo, and Hong Kong. Currently based in San Francisco. Looking forward to your ventures.
Terrific. And last but not least, certainly we have really our Rapid Conference organizer, but somebody who also sees a lot of telehealth activities, both in the startup side and at the enterprise side, and that's Bene, who's CEO with Bene Studio. Bene, tell us a little bit about your work with Bene Studio.
Thank you, Sandy. Hello, everybody. My name is Bene. I'm the CEO of Bene Studio. And at Bene Studio, we are a digital product consultancy, and we have a special focus on health tech. What we are doing is delivering premium quality mobile and web applications and integrate complex systems, both for global enterprises and for startups as well. And personally, I have a special interest in digital product strategy and also for telehealth, AI, and IoT topics. And this is why I'm really happy being here together with you. And I believe that nowadays knowledge sharing is a really important and helpful thing. So with this event, we also can support each other.
Terrific. Thank you, Bene. So here we go. It's time to get started with our first pitch. So first up, we have Craig Zevin with UberDoc. So Craig, can you go ahead and share your screen?
Yes, I can. And can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you for checking.
Awesome. So you can hear me, and now hopefully you can see me as well.
We can see your screen. Yes.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's dive right in. First, a quick thank you to Sandra and everyone at Bene Studios and all of the judges for being here. Really appreciate your time and your feedback. So at UberDoc, the problem that we're trying to solve, tiny one, is that healthcare is too complicated. And what that means for patients is that seeing a specialist is incredibly inconvenient and incredibly expensive. They have to deal with insurance restrictions, wait times, and all for a product that they don't know how much it costs and is only ever increasing. And the same is really true for doctors as well. The tech landscape for them is incredibly inconvenient and incredibly expensive. Their billing cycles are longer, their reimbursement rates are poorer, and all in all, they're feeling a crunch. And COVID-19 has really lit a match for this powder keg, and it's forcing rapid adoption of digital healthcare tech for patients and for doctors. So what did we do in response to that? We tried to make it as simple as possible. We built a platform for patients to find and purchase and book doctor's appointments for a single transparent price. We gave doctors the tools that they need to build the foundations of their digital office. And what that does is it creates a marketplace that puts the two most important stakeholders, the patient and the doctor, at the center of everything that happens. So how did we get here? It was a pretty standard product process for us. We released an MVP in 2017 to understand if patients and doctors wanted direct pay care. They did. We rolled it out at a larger scale, decreasing the barriers to entry by decreasing our SaaS price, and saw massive growth. But where we really took off as a company and where we are today is building a marketplace where the partnerships that we provide from a tech perspective enable doctors to build the digital tools that give great care to their patients. And those partnerships have driven really, really dramatic growth on our platform with doctors. We grew exponentially in Q2 and expect that to continue throughout the rest of the year. And a lot of that has to do with the great partnerships that we have. So we have telemedicine, we have credentialing and CMEs, we're doing work with the government. There's a myriad of people who want to either connect their doctors, their technology, or their patients all in the same place, and we are the central hub for that. From an opportunity perspective, we kind of scaled the marketplace for our total addressable market in the US at around $45 billion. That's based on current direct pay, current urgent care, and a rapidly growing second opinion market. But that doesn't take into account that in the last 3 months, 30 million US families just lost their employer-based healthcare. So that direct pay market absolutely is going to grow. The unit economics, very quickly, we have a freemium model for doctors, so it's free to join, and subscription costs go up as they use more of our services. We also take a 20% transaction fee on every booked appointment, so that's 50 of every $250 patient fee. And when you combine those things and take out our acquisition costs, we wind up at about a 37% margin. But for us, the most important number is our network of 5,500 doctors represents $3.2 million in latent revenue that exists on our platform today. Our revenue growth very quickly is growing rapidly by adding the recurring revenue of our SaaS platforms to the transactional revenue that we get from patient bookings. We're seeing pretty dramatic growth, and we certainly expect that to continue over the coming years as we continue to grow as a company. Our founding team, so we were founded by Dr. Paula Muto. She is a surgeon from a family of surgeons, and after decades of trying to fix healthcare from the inside, she decided that the best approach would be to try to fix healthcare from the outside. And that is why her passion for patient access to care drove her to build UberDoc. I come more from the tech side. My whole career has been in startups and in digital advertising, as well as consulting. And Brianna and Regina bring decades of marketing experience as well. We also have a phenomenal group of advisors. We have technologists like Milton Chen, economists like Arun Sundararajan at the Stern School of Business, and Larry Van Horn, who works on the congressional
Craig, you're out of time. Craig, you're out of
Awesome.
time, so let me just
real quick
have you finalize.
We have an amazing larger team. We love them.
Craig,
We're
get to your ask.
raising a $1.5 million round of funding at a $5 million valuation. We're looking for angel investors to come in and finish out the $600K that we have. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you. He almost did it. He was almost on time. All right. So Craig, make sure you stop sharing your slides. Thank you. And judges, any judge, do you have any questions? Who has a first question or comment for Craig?
Well, I'll jump in and get us started, Sandra. First, I'd like to reclaim my time, if that's possible. Craig, thank you. That was a great presentation. What would you say, given where you are in the growth that you've seen, what is the next major barrier, or maybe said a different way, what needs to happen for you to know that this is really going to be big?
Absolutely, that's a great question. I think for us, the next frontier is the patient side. We do really well on the doctor side in terms of marketing and growing our network. The challenge with advertising healthcare to patients is that your average patient, high income, low income, good insurance, bad insurance, they know very little about where their healthcare dollars go and how their healthcare works. So explaining to them the value of cash pay healthcare and direct pay healthcare requires a decent amount of branding and a decent amount of patient education. We do really well saying to patients, we can get you in to see a specialist tomorrow. That's going to do well with a segment of the market, but we need to be able to do a lot more patient education to get them to understand the full value of direct pay healthcare.
Judges, another question?
Yeah,
Hey,
building
Craig.
on that. Oh,
Yeah, let's go
Go
for it.
ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. So building on that, I wonder who's actually your target audience from the demand side, and also what's some of the North Star metrics you are looking at for the marketplace scale?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think in the short term, our target market on the patient side is really, urban folks, higher income, ages 25 to 35, people who are, a tech-first generation, and people who are willing to pay cash for the convenience of getting seen quickly. But larger, our vision and mission as a company is about democratizing patient access to care. And that's why we're investing a lot in patient education, especially for folks on the lower income side, or people with poor quality health insurance. They are paying a copay and co-insurance to go to urgent care. They're then paying a copay and co-insurance to get a referral from their primary care, just to pay a third copay and third co-insurance when they finally get to a specialist. And that is a harder group to sell to, but ultimately really, really dear to our mission about democratizing patient access to care. So in the short term, we're focusing on the low-hanging fruit, the easy-to-win consumers that we see out there. But long-term, we're going to invest the time and effort to really kind of crack the nut of that larger mission. And just to get to the metrics question really quickly, it's all about cost per acquisition, that we have really good, stable, recurring revenue from the subscriptions on the doctor side. And so for us, we don't want to get in the trap of constant acquisition costs on the patient side, but we do in the short term need to drive that acquisition cost down if we're going to get to profitability quickly.
So Atul, did Craig get to your question, or do you still have a question for him?
To an extent, I'll try to make it quick. Thanks again, Craig. So, I was trying to figure out who the target demographic is for this. And, you mentioned a couple of things. You started off by talking about COVID and talking about people not having access to insurance. And then just a couple of minutes back, you started talking about targeting the urban higher income population as a starting point. So it seems like you want to target both segments. And my question is, why would the urban higher income population, which one could safely assume probably have insurance, why would they switch to direct pay? Is it the convenience factor? And conversely, people who don't have access to insurance, would they be able to afford direct access to specialists without insurance?
Yeah, absolutely. Both great questions. I would say for the more affluent, living in large metropolitan area folks, absolutely the convenience is number one. People anticipate having to spend hours to call, find, and book an appointment, and they expect to have to wait weeks in order to be seen. Solving that convenience factor with people with the expendable income to do so is absolutely a value prop itself. For the people who just lost healthcare, paying $250 to see a specialist is far less than the majority of them would have paid with their healthcare, and certainly far less than they'd pay if they have to have COBRA as well. So despite being $250 seeming like a large amount, in the greater context of their healthcare costs, especially if they're on COBRA now, it is a drop in the bucket against an $18,000 family out-of-pocket maximum.
Great. Balint, do you have a burning question, or are we good? Can we get to you on the next time?
Yes, just a quick question. So you mentioned that you changed your focus on providing tools to the doctors, but you also keep the client side. So which is the more important, and why not focusing just on the doctors?
Yeah, we can't have one without the other. We need to connect the patients and the doctors for care. But in order to do that, the doctors need the right tools. So an optometrist or ophthalmologist, for example, just having telemedicine, just doing this video conference isn't enough. It doesn't provide care. They need digital eye acuity exams to get that report so that when they go to do the video conference, they actually have the information that they need. So the doctors aren't going to be able to provide quality care without the technology, and patients aren't going to buy care unless they're getting the quality that they need. So we really do need both sides of the marketplace.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Craig. Nice job. Next up, we're going to have Raja Sundaram. I apologize if I didn't catch the pronunciation, with Plethi. Raja, are you there? It's all getting set up now. Good. And Raja, do you want to go into present mode? All right.
Excellent. So
now I can hear you. Yeah, now we can hear you. Thank you.
Suddenly went on mute. We are a virtual healthcare delivery platform. Our focus is how do you accelerate recovery and rehabilitation. Principal focus within it is how do you engage patient engagement? How do you increase it while enabling providers to capture new revenue streams that they couldn't previously do for patients who already come into their office? Our first market and focus in this space is on musculoskeletal care. What we found was that there's a huge wastage in the market, huge need in the market. We have today focused on orthopedic space, aging in sports, with the intent to expand into workers' comp market. We found that MSK is a building block for other use cases, which we want to get into through partnerships. Our team is a combination of geek and Greek, folks who came out of technology. My background is having sold into healthcare systems as part of Cisco and a bunch of startups. One of our co-founders is the head of neurosurgery at Ohio Health, NPs, and folks who came out of medical devices. So a good Greek and geek squad. The pain that's faced in the marketplace is just the increased volume and cost for MSK care. So 1 out of 2 of us either go into an orthopedic group or a PCP for MSK problems. And here in the United States, $20 billion spent by employers, 130 by payers, and fragmented care with no ownership that the patients face with access to care barriers, distance and copay, and just lack of a patient engagement, all of which drives more cost. The way we solve this problem is through a platform for virtual care connecting the surgeons and the patients, which starts with a joint motion sensor, looks like this, goes on the body using a magnetized Band-Aid on any joint in the body. It connects to an intuitive patient app that takes the patient on a care journey, and all of which gives real insights to the patient, to the clinician, with regards to how the patient is doing today. We're the only ones who can do every joint in the body, all the way from ankle to shoulder to elbow and knees. We are HIPAA compliant, obviously. The model that we take to the marketplace is a B2B model with orthopedic groups, hospitals, payers, and PT. It's in the fee-for-service model, which is predominantly where the market is. The surgeon gets about 2x what RPM provides, traditional RPM provides, over a 4-month duration of an episode of care, as an example. We charge $99 per patient per month. Where we are in the marketplace is we're pretty efficient and automated. There's no human being behind the solution, and with real-time telemetry across transition of care across multiple providers. We're the only ones who can do that. Where we are in the market is we have orthopedic groups. We started with that. Now we are in larger orthopedic groups, 50, 100 surgeons at a time. Early stage with hospital systems and sales pipeline, with partner with both Harvard and also with the UCLA biomechanics lab for the clinical side of the house. Our forecast really is we plan on having about $200 million over the next 5 years. We are in good trajectory towards that, and at SaaS margins. Our current ask is about $3 million. Our focus really is how do you scale orthopedic care across the United States and then expand into workers' comp. The business model is validated. The reimbursements are validated, both by Medicare and private payers. And our exit strategy really is IPO or exit points with one of our strategic partners. Thank you for the opportunity. I'll take your questions.
Great. Thank you. Nice job, and under time. That's pretty good stuff. And Raja, real quick, I should have asked Craig, where are you calling from today? Because I think we have people from all over the world.
I'm in Los Gatos, California.
All right, good.
Small, sleepy town, yes.
Yeah, close to my hometown of Cupertino. I love it. All right, judges, let's see. Do we have a question for Raja? Go ahead, Atul.
Raja, great presentation. Thank you. Just had a quick question on the patient journey. So I understand that this is for initially targeting musculoskeletal care, which could be interpreted to an extent as rehabilitation, right? Is that correct? Okay, so as I understand it, you have these sensors that are reusable, and the patient is required to use them a couple of times a day, and the data acquired is actually monitored by a clinician. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and it's a class 1 medical device, so the physician has the opportunity to provide feedback and make changes to the treatment regimen based on the feedback that's received from the sensing device, correct?
You got it. Think about it as precision care for the masses, with real time looking at data and customizing the care plan very, very, very easily. So think about it as pre-op to post-op, think about it as non-op, looking at both passive and active data in real time across multiple care providers.
So are you trying to, in effect, to an extent, eliminate a physical therapy or inpatient visits for therapy?
What I have found is that our focus in the market is an augmentation model. So we are not replacing home health care. We are not replacing home physical therapy, clinic PT. That's not the game we want to be in, because we found humans need to be touched by a PT to get better outcomes. But they go once a week. Out of 12 sessions, they go 4 times. What happens the remaining 6 days of the week? Twice a day care sessions. I got them doing exactly the same prescription that the PT has asked them to do. So we correlate pain, med, adherence to range of motion.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Judges, any other questions or even feedback? Go ahead.
Hey,
Oh,
Balance,
sorry.
you're talking with mute on.
Yes, so one question, what was the latest corrective user feedback for you?
Yeah, interestingly enough, we spent a lot of time on UI UX, and we took a lot of time on behavioral interviewing and how we built that into how we engage, think psycholinguistics in terms of our patients. So we have, on one hand, we have 70-year-old with ACL who think the world has ended. And on the other hand, we have 83-year-old with dementia, right? And so what we have found through our app is one of the key things that we found was it's simple to use. And the reason we think it's simple to use is because there are no menus. It's a pure curated care journey. You come in twice a day, click a button, takes you to your PT, reminds you of meds, pain tracking, symptom tracking, icing and elevation, goodbye, right? And so there is nothing else for you to touch, ping. If you want to send a picture, click, there you go. So we kind of made it, over a period of time, what we did was went into retirement communities to really get it right before we launched it out into the marketplace. So feedback is just simple to use, easy to onboard. Yes, Oren.
Thank you very much.
Raja, thank you.
I really like your approach.
Raja, thanks. Could you talk a little bit about the value proposition? I get it clinically, you know, it's great to have PT, but number one, are you actually showing a difference in outcome? And number two, are you providing a cost savings that you can demonstrate on paper to either doctors or payers that justify the additional cost?
So let's start with the first one, which is, let's look at the model. Predominantly in the model in the United States, as you know, is a fee-for-service model. The value proposition on the fee-for-service model goes in the following three ways. Number one, you make more revenue for new services that you're delivering surgeon, right? And that's the higher order bit. The second one is we are driving better engagement with your patient. You're staying connected with your patients, which means more referrals. And the third one is you fundamentally are reducing costs because in this case, it's clinic pull-through because the nuisance calls go away and the bounce backs to the clinics go away on the fee-for-service environment. In the bundle payment environment, fundamentally what we, and the hybrid bundles that we see with the likes of Sutter is fundamentally it's the, hey, you get a chance to throttle down the number of home health visits, the number of PT visits, because you now for the first time have insights into what the patient is doing, which mathematically gets them somewhere around 60 or 70% better margins than they do otherwise in a bundle payment model. So it's different value propositions for the different business models that we see in the marketplace. It's not a one size. We are not a cost reduction again alone.
Great job, Raja. And with that, we're going to thank you very much. Really nice job. And next up, we have Gabor Zagarich. I don't know if I said that right. Gabor from Dental Live. And Gabor, as you come up, tell us where you're pitching from today.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for this great opportunity. I'm from Hungary.
Great. Nice to see you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Gabor Zagarich, an entrepreneur dentist. My story started in 2020, January, when I asked myself for 100 times, why do my patients have butterflies in their stomach if they need to visit me or any doctor? Have you ever had the same feeling? So do I. It is because we don't know what will happen to us in that vulnerable situation. It is a horrible feeling. So what Dental I do in one sentence? We tell you what will happen to you in your unique case. And with this, we earn your trust and you will become our patient. But problems in wider view. So because of this fear, we postpone our doctor visits until the problem needs to be treated. That's why the current medical care do not have time for preventive approach. Think about Generation Z and millennials. Everybody knows that they have the least time for everything. They will not waste their time by appearing physically for a regular checkup, but they care about their health more than anybody. Trust me, by just some visual inspection, it would be possible to make a directional diagnosis on a possible problem and encourage patients to visit a doctor. It is really important in rural areas. And COVID problem. Dental treatments with aerosol formation is a critical element in the spread of the virus. Therefore, patient triage should be more important. So my solution was invented for me to improve my business, but it became more. It is a mobile app to patients and a web app to doctors. It starts in the private health sector. By using our platform, our B2B partners can select their own patient. Hence, they would widen their current patient base. Secondly, they would increase their cost effectiveness as the first evaluation would not be mandatory. It is important to emphasize that this doesn't mean that the patients will not visit the doctor's office for treatment. It only means that the evaluation would start in their home. So put this together and get asynchronous, so not a real-time telehealth system, what is about pictures, questionnaires, and automated databases. Our potential customers are B2B from the private health sector, mainly private dental offices and aesthetic dermatology clinics. Our first target market will be California, USA. In parallel, we want to expand in Turkey, Jordan, and Kuwait. We have many competitors with the real-time solution, but the problem is with the real-time approach. Doctors still have to take time for patients, and patients still have to take time for doctors at one time. So nothing has changed, just a medium called virtual space appeared between the two members. Our solution works anytime and any space, automated, standardized, and can work as a framework in any medical field. We gain our revenue from our global partnership program and from our white label product. It means that we adjust our mobile app to our partner's clinic and brand so they can use it as their own. In the worst case scenario, without any capital investment, just financed by me, I counted a 58% return on investment in 3 years. As I mentioned, that our platform could work as a framework for the different medical fields as well. And what is the most important, I think? By using our platform, our B2B partners could teach our object detection algorithms simply with their professional knowledge while gaining more patients and more revenue. This opportunity could be market changer. As a part of our future plans, we would like to gain partnership with a company whose portfolio is creating home rapid tests for different medical fields. Thank you very much.
So Gabor, do you have a, you said is your ask a partnership, or are you, do you have a funding ask?
I have for partnership.
Okay, great. Let's see, judges, do you have questions for Gabor? Hey you, for you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. So I'm curious, why do you actually plan to launching in California and also Turkey at the same time? Because it seems like they're actually quite different market. And what's your strategy for market expansion in the future?
Because out of the states, California has the less strict regulation on telehealth, but strict enough. If we manage to go on market there, we will succeed anywhere in the world, I think. And I'm hopeful I will find a partner there. And our go-to-market strategy. In the middle of August, we start our beta test with a bigger crowd. If it's successful, we start to develop the mobile app on iOS because it is now available on Android. And as soon as we find a partner or any help, we will make an American company and start our operation. That's our plans.
Great. Judges, any other questions? Atul.
Hey, Gabor, thank you very much. Great presentation. Just had a couple of questions. So while looking at your slides and listening to you right now, I was still struggling to understand what the patient journey is here. And the second question I want to ask is, so if you could just walk us. I mean, I get the sense that the patient takes a picture of her or his teeth and it goes to a dentist who then analyzes it remotely and, prescribes the next steps that the patient needs to take. But could you clarify that, please?
Yes, actually, we save time and costs required for the first consultation, while we earning the patient trust because I tell what will happen if he will come to me, and he will be my patient in the future. Why dentistry? Because dental consultations require the same level of preparedness as the real treatments, so chair time and overheads. So that's, I don't know if it makes sense.
It does. I guess my slight confusion here is where does the object detection algorithm come to play if this is not a medical device and it's not making a diagnosis? It's relying on a doctor to make the actual diagnosis, correct?
Yes. We managed to standardize the angle of the photos made by the simple smartphone, and the doctor just have to draw the lesion and give the name of the finding. And what the automated database do is I make the database that way. If the doctor tell this finding, I automatically give treatment options to patient. And if the patient come to the doctor, he can he can see if the finding was that he draw before.
Okay. Yep. Got it. Thank you.
I have a quick comment, maybe more of a coaching comment, if that's okay, Sandra.
Sure.
Sometimes when you pitch, and Gabor, it's not just a comment to you, but to all of the pitchers. You know, I remember my 6th grade writing teacher said, you have to, when you're doing creative writing, you want to show instead of tell. And honestly, even after Atul's questions of you, I really have no idea what your company is doing. I don't understand it. And I think it would be valuable for you to be more demonstrative rather than giving me a high level view, because I could go in a lot of different directions in terms of what you've said, but none of it really quite makes sense. At a high level, and again, just to show you what I'm getting, not for you to respond because you already have, I'm hearing that I take a picture of my mouth with my smartphone, and I'm going to get diagnoses from a dentist. And I don't know. To me, there's something that seems incomplete in that, and I think that, you know, being really tight with your storytelling is very important.
Great, thank you, Oren. That's terrific. And with that, see, that's one of the benefits of doing things like this, because you just get to practice and you learn something every time. And so great job, Gabor. And I think you got some nice feedback. And next up, we have Alexander Borv with iDoc24.
Hi, thanks for having me, Sandra and everyone. So I actually happened to be in Runway for a couple of years. So.
Oh, cool. Well, hello.
Yeah. So we incorporate as iDoc24, but we have a company called First Derm, which has collected a lot of images, like taking pictures of your skin disease and sending to dermatologists. And what I'm showing you here today is what we've done with these images in terms of artificial intelligence. So here we have an API as a service, which we call AutoDerm, and it's a dermatology search engine. So basically the problem with dermatology is that everyone has 1.6 skin diseases. To see a doctor takes a long time. Search engines, when you go on Google, you put in text and you find images, it's not sensitive enough. We know that the generation Zeta, they want to have this. They spend 8 hours a day on social media, and there's a lot of potential with APIs. So another problem is that if you make a health app today, you will spend an average of $10 to get a customer acquisition to download the app. This is our solution. It's a B2B service, which is just an API. We give you an authorization key, and then you can start using it. Just put it into your platform, and it takes 3 hours of engineering to do that. This is what people want. They want speed, quality, trust, and then they also want personalized medicine. And in healthcare, that we all know, nobody wants to pay for it. They always want a third party to pay for it. So this is an example of our API being embedded into a platform. The user will take an image. You will get 5 answers of ranked probability. The first one, number 1. And what we've seen is that 50% they can actually use this as just self-screen and go and buy their over-the-counter medication. And the other 50% can find a dermatologist at the right time or a family doctor at the right time. So it's a good triage tool. Other ways of like monetizing this is, for example, you can have like an API interface with like the skin diseases, and then you can also read more health information. It's like an inverse Google. Instead of like getting images back when you're texting, you actually get text back when you put up an image to our API. This is the size of the market. Just the API calls in the US is $500 million. Globally is 4.5 billion. There are other ways of monetizing this, but we can come to that in the Q&A. This is our traction so far. We have a huge database of 1 million images, smartphone connected. We can screen for 43 skin diseases, which is 90% of what the layman has if they have something. We've already done 250,000 API calls. We identify skin cancer, STDs, inflammatory diseases. These are the users that we have, which is quite interesting. There's quite low age. So average age is 29 years old using our API. These are the revenues. So what's quite exciting about our revenues is that we don't really have any costs because it's just software. So we're just making money from the API. And here I'm showing like if we make $1.5 per API call, it's pretty easy to grow the revenue. We have competitors in this space. They're more focused on skin cancer. We can do skin cancer, STDs, and also inflammatory diseases. It's a team. We're all engineers. I'm a doctor, and Oliver is a marketing guy. And then we have a bunch of advisors who are dermatologists, also people in the digital health space. And we have a pretty global presence. Use of funds, we're seed. We're looking for a lead investor of $2 million. We already have a circled $500,000. And it'll be used 50% on making the AI better, research and development, and then sales and growth. Here's a user testimonial. It's actually one of our developers who sent this back. He tested it on his brother, and it turns out it was skin cancer. They just went to the doctor and removed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alexander. Yeah, and that's a great story to end on. It is the end of the day about patients. So that's really cool. Alexander, where are you calling from today?
So we're based in the Bay Area and then also Barcelona.
Terrific. Both beautiful places. Judges, I'm sure you have some questions for Alexander.
Go for it.
Let's see. Who wants to go first? Go ahead, Atul.
Alexander, great presentation. Thank you so much. I mean, dermatology is an area where, a lot of drugs are under development, and, detecting dermatological conditions is something that, all of us are always interested in. My question to you is, I see that at the end, you have, to an extent, a diagnosis of the condition that the user has. You give them 5 options in terms of probability you had mentioned. So would you in the future or currently think that this would be a class 2 medical device?
Yeah, so right now we are organizing our FDA 510K to make it a decision support tool. And then secondly, we're gonna do a class 2. But that is all futuristic. We're just marketing it now as a search engine. As we market as a search engine, people also understand it's not fully diagnostic, but we are collecting data and doing more research so we can get into line of being a more FDA diagnostic tool.
And is there a learning algorithm involved here to kind of, better detect what the condition is and increase accuracy? My question actually is, does the app get better as there is critical mass or there are more users actually using the app?
Yeah, that's correct. It gets better all the time. So for example, one diagnosis we're looking at right now is COVID toes. So for example, our new algorithm can do it, but it's a little bit too specific. So we're still working on that, doing more tests. So these are like areas that we want to go into, and then also more rare diseases, and then also black diseases, black skin. That's something where we're lacking.
Okay, thank you.
Judges, any other questions? Balint.
Yeah, I really like your solution, and I have a business model related question. So who is paying for the API? Because you mentioned that the business is focusing on the API, but also you would refer the patients to different places or doctors.
That's a good question. So we are not actually referring them. It's the API, so our customers. So we already have 6 paying customers. It's a subscription model, and including that subscription model, there's 250 API calls. And then if they use more than 250 API calls, that's billed in the next month.
Thanks for clarifying it. I think it's a really sustainable model providing APIs because more B2B companies could connect to you.
So just to clarify that, your customer is whom? Is the doctor's office, the dermatologist?
So anyone that has a health platform. So for example, I'll give you an example. We have someone who's selling STD kits. So when they come onto their website, they can upload their image of their genitals, and then they can recommend which kind of STD kit they will buy. So they pay. We have a telemedicine company. So before the patient, the doctor actually will take them, they upload an image. And then on the other side, the GPs will see the answers, the top 5 answers. So when they get on the video call, they can then say what it is. So it goes much faster.
And it's $1.50 per API call?
$1.50 per API call is the average at this moment.
Is the average at this moment. And how does that cut into their margins, you know, for an STD kit?
Well, so for example, STD kit, if you know a little bit about the market, STD kits are the average cost is $240. And the margins are about 70%. So they usually spend about $100 per customer acquisition.
I see. Okay, interesting. Thank you. That's very interesting.
Great job, Alexander. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Satya Elumalai with Adar Health. Let's see. Satya, are your slides coming up? Can we see Satya's slides?
Hi everyone. Sorry, I was not able to share earlier. Can you guys see? Okay. Let me share my screen quickly. Please let me know when you want me to start.
Yeah, we can see your screen, and then if you just want to go into present mode.
I'm on present mode right now.
Okay.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we just also see the, the window around your PDF.
Oh. That's very interesting.
We see the whole Adobe script thing.
Sorry about that.
You got it?
Almost. 1 second. Please let me know when you guys can see it.
Perfect. You're ready to go.
Yeah, I really appreciate everyone. I'm Satya from Adar Health. It's a healthcare technology and digital therapeutics company. We're based in Baltimore. Every single one of you here knows someone with a chronic condition. I'm one of y'all struggling to manage my mom's health. She's not alone. More than half of US population have at least one chronic condition that requires regular monitoring of health, especially during this pandemic, with all the ages increasing and spending going up. let's take, for example, someone with a cardiopulmonary condition such as COPD and heart failure, which is the leading cause of death due to hospitalization and also increasing costs to the US healthcare system. For this complex condition, today, patients just receive catastrophic support, and physicians still use error-prone single indicators like weight or spirometer or pulse ox, while others use invasive devices or less specific wearable devices. However, studies have proven early indicators that are providing physiological signals in heart and lung function can be detected well before the symptoms develop. But these physiological parameters are underutilized today. Imagine if we could put all these relevant devices into one to offer a speedy analysis of overall health at a fraction of cost, all through a single breath. That's why we created MouthLab. It is a non-invasive, at-home, rapid health assessment device that measures more than 10 vital health parameters in just 30 seconds. We put together a category of tools that are essential for monitoring and managing chronic disease patients at home. The sensor data and daily symptom data is sent in real time using 4G or via Bluetooth to our secure HIPAA-compliant cloud. From there, a proprietary analytics system uses AI and machine learning algorithms to generate actionable data and key health insights for early identification of an exacerbation and disease progression among chronic disease patients and also COVID patients today. The data then can be used through a provider surveillance dashboard or triaging platform for even clinical trial organizations. We also build secure APIs to integrate with other telemedicine platforms. Today, we use a multi-sensor biomarker approach to provide a unique biosignature composed of multiple health parameters that can be used to measure the positive health impacts. Today, our solution is perfectly placed to help pharma and CROs to collect unique digital biomarkers to improve patient outcomes, predict drug and treatment response, streamline adherence and adverse events, and also help with drug titration, changing treatments, etc. We also support CCM and RPM programs and eligible for reimbursement. Today, we offer a dynamic solution for multiple applications related to COVID-19 as well. And we are currently under FDA review and hoping to launch in the next 3 months. And we're also raising $10 million to accelerate our commercialization process. And this isn't possible without our great team and a great group of advisors from different sectors. And we're also a Johns Hopkins spun-off company, so we have a great value being here in Baltimore and working with Hopkins folks. We're part of great incubators and accelerators. We've been featured in various articles, and we have got strong support from major organizations. We also won several awards, but these slides are not just talk about or brag about things, but we really believe that there are a huge group of people and organizations really interested in supporting our initiatives. The current ability of MouthLab to obtain all the 10 vital health parameters and more are just the beginning, because the MouthLab is actually placed in the mouth. It has access to breath and saliva, which in turn gives access to many biological indicators of health. Ultimately, we wanted to build the first check engine light for humans, especially during this pandemic. And we have garnered a lot of support from hundreds of organizations and people to help launch this product. I really hope everyone here join us to help to make this or help us to change the culture of care monitoring. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Great. Almost on time. Not really nice job, Satya. I'm going to ask a quick question just to kick us off. Can you talk just a little bit more about the device itself and the functionality and sort of keeping it, sterile, patient to patient and all of that?
Yeah, so this is our device. It's built for an individual patients because of chronic disease patients. Oftentimes you don't want them to interchange devices. But for healthy individuals, the device has a mouthpiece that is detachable, so you can actually clean the hand unit between use. And then we also designed at least multiple mouthpieces. People can go to our website, they can customize their MouthLab, the colors and all those things. So every individual has to use their specific MouthLab mouthpiece. And also the next version of the device also comes with a fingerprint sensor, so kind of identifies who's using the device. So, great. Yeah.
Judges, raise your hand if you have a question. Go. Yeah, go ahead, Oren. And then Atul.
Oh, so thank you. What's the what's the price point for your device? And is this something that insurers are paying for, or is it something that patients pay for? And is there a subscription model for the platform? Can you just talk about the business model a little bit?
We right now we are offering a subscription model for the device technology and services. We start with pharma companies. We're working with several clinical trial organizations where we provide this solution as a part of their decentralized clinical trial efforts. We're working with CROs to provide our solution as a part of their overall program. And from a chronic disease management or remote patient monitoring perspective, again, the device is reimbursable through RPM, and from CPM, chronic disease management point of view, we also have a specific dashboard or a web application for providers to manage. And also we are working with a third-party nursing service provider organization. So they actually act as a clinical service provider today. Ultimately, we bundle all these things together into one price point, which is more like a revenue sharing when it comes to CCM and RPM.
Great. Atul.
Thank you. Great presentation, Satya. Just had a quick question. So, you talked about 10 leading indicators of health, and you mentioned that, you're working currently with pharma companies, working on clinical trials, etc. I think, for my experience, accuracy is something that's really valued when it comes to clinical trials or in the pharma industry in general, right? Or in the medical device industry. So my question is this a trending tool, or does this provide accurate measures of each of those 10 indicators that you mentioned?
So this is a medical device, and we have validated every parameter as per the FDA guidelines. We have data, clinical study data in terms of the accuracy of the device also. We don't want to send any trends because, like, as I said, like literally I built this device for my mom, and I wanted to believe the data from this. If an alarm comes in or an alert comes in, and that's the kind of approach that we are taking. So this is something that pharma can trust and rely upon, and for clinical trial, for titration of drugs, and also to get new insights into somebody's health. So as I said, we are expecting a clearance in the next few weeks, and because FDA is did an expedited review of our submission due to the relevance of the device to COVID detection as well.
So is it a de novo device or?
Right, 510K, but then we are planning to submit another one in the next 2 months, which is going to be a de novo, which is focused on the algorithms for detection of certain conditions.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Terrific. One last question or comment or feedback. All right. We're all good? Okay, great. You did a great job with your presentation, Satya. Thank you so much.
Watching, but I'm really glad for the great questions. Thanks, guys. Please reach out if you can help me out.
Okay, all right. Let's see, next up, our last, but certainly we're so excited to see Chris Dobbs and what he has to share with us for LabWorks.
Good afternoon and good morning to everyone. Let me just share my screen.
Yeah, Chris, where in the world are you before you get started?
So I'm hidden away in the hills about an hour west of London, so in the UK.
Terrific, terrific. Welcome.
So you all share. Thank you very much. You can also see my screen okay?
Yes, we can see your screen, Chris.
Perfect, I'll crack on then. So I guess mine's more of a little story rather than a pitch, and I really appreciate the opportunity to do so. And back in April, when we were all headed into lockdown, I had a call from one of my sales partners, one of my resellers, who said, "Can I give a demonstration to a lab?" So I did, and to cut a long story short, what they were after was a management platform for COVID testing. So this lab installs private labs in big companies. So instead of relying on the national testing regime, companies can get tests done and results back within an hour, hour and a half to make sure that their on-site workforce is safe. So these guys, I got speaking to them, and it turns out it wasn't quite a fit for my software company, which is another company called Informed. And in the spirit of pivot, I created a new company called Works Software and built a bespoke product called LabWorks. We launched the MVP a month ago. So this is all in the last 2 months. And in the screen share here, you can see a screenshot of that where the lab's able to register patients. These are employees on site. They can create batches of testing they do, and they spin them around in their test machine and add results. And then our system notifies individuals via SMS or email as to what their results are. We also aggregate some of the data and send it back to Public Health England and some other bits and bobs. But basically, it's a track and trace software system, right? And my customer is a bunch of really clever people in lab coats who needed a software partner. So that's where I've come in. And in turn, I've spoken to Bene Studio, and I've been working with them for a while now and got them to provide the software services to enable this. So the quick summary is within the first 2 months, we've gone live in 2 significant customers. The first one's Sellafield, which is a large nuclear processing facility. It's government backed, so I had a really interesting round of security and data protection, all the stuff that is really real to this. Got through that and then launched their BAE systems in the northwest of England, and they basically make nuclear submarines. So again, they've got a huge on-site workforce who have got mandatory COVID testing happening twice a week, and our product manages that process. I've set it up as a SaaS model, something I'm familiar with through my other businesses. And essentially, the first customer is Band-Aid, 12,500 clicks a month. The next customer, BAE or bigger, so they'll be doing around 25,000 tests a month. And as this lab acquires more customers, then they simply add on more tiers in there, and I get a monthly subscription through from that. We've got some exciting plans for the product where we could integrate more with the back-end systems of both the companies and some of the government agencies. We're doing some aggregated analysis and some analytics type of dashboard views as well, and also looking at a COVID app. Anyway, on top of that, within Works, we're looking at other types of portfolios to add products into as well. I've run a company of one. I guess what I'm really interested in from the field here is I've always self-funded my own little companies here, done pretty well out of them, but is this the time to go and get some proper funding, inverted commas, and do this in a broader way? There's exit strategies, all those kind of things to talk through, but I think that's the nub of where I'm getting to here is that, I have a product, I have a customer base, it's been profitable from day one. We'll probably do, I don't know, $250,000, $300,000 this year. Working out of my garage here. How about we add some zeros on that with some finance? So that's really my feedback, or my question, I guess, to the floor. And that's really it from me. Thank you.
Terrific, Chris, and just in time. So great job overall. And I love the question, and I think actually investors love a question like this as well, because it gives them, this allows us to speak to, what does it mean to take other people's money like investors? And so I'm going to let some of our investor panelists jump on. Atul did have to leave for another obligation, but Hoyu or Oren, would you like to sort of speak? I'd like you both to actually address from your perspectives Chris's great question.
Yeah, I can jump in. So first question is, I'm still a little bit confused about the solution here. So is that more about, it's kind of the software platform about tracking and managing COVID testing? It is something trying to, as a product solution.
Yeah, so my customer is a lab, and it's applicable to any lab technology where they are sending samples and then assigning barcodes to samples and ultimately assigning a test result to that. So it's a software platform that enables this lab to run its business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then I would say kind of like comments or feedback to your questions about to taking equity investors' money. I do think what is the path you're thinking about? And I think for equity investor, definitely there's questions and also paths with scalability, and depends on who's your audience. If your kind of business being profitable at day one, it's also okay to just being a sustainable business instead of actually getting the external fundings for that. So it really depends on who's the target audience, what's your convictions and trajectory about scalability in the future, and also your personal plan for the exit.
Appreciate the input. Thank you.
Thank you, and that was a great presentation. Really interesting. The one question I had before I talk about the investor question were those real patients in your slide?
No, they weren't.
Okay. As a doctor, I was like, oh my God, I'm getting palpitations. Those kids.
No, those are all test subjects that we've made up, so don't worry about that.
Okay, because there were phone numbers and everything. I said, oh my God.
It's all my number, by the way, as well.
Oh, funny. Okay, good. Thank you. I feel much better. So the question of whether to take investors' money, I think you have to look at it from both sides of the coin. And Sandra, I don't want to go over and be too garrulous, so please tell me. You have to think of it from the entrepreneur's perspective and also from the investor's perspective. So from your perspective, the question is, how much money do you need to get to where you need to be in order to be self-sustaining, right? Or like, what is that money going to do for you? If the money just gets you incrementally down the road and maybe speeds you up a little bit, it may not be worthwhile because you have to give up equity, and you will, unfortunately, give up some amount of control in your company because you have a partner and another owner, right, or multiple owners. So that's a question you have to think about for yourself, or your company has to think about. Will this $1 million, $2 million, $10 million get me to a place that I can't get? And is it worth giving up X amount of my company to get there, right? So if it doesn't have that kind of logarithmic growth, it may not be worth it to you, especially if you can do it on your own. Maybe it takes a little longer. So bootstrapping is great if you can do that. On the other hand, as an investor, I don't want to invest in a company. I mean, there are things I need in a company to make it worthwhile as an investor. Remember, as a venture capitalist, it's not entirely my money. In fact, it's mostly not my money. I'm a steward for investors. And as much as I want to create impact, I've seen several companies here today that all have impact. So if I'm going to make an investment and all of these companies have impact, well, then impact is not really the thing I'm looking for only. I'm also looking for return on investment. So I need to see a company that's venture backed in the early stage healthcare environment, which technically you're really more of a tech company, but in a healthcare space. I want to see in the early stage the ability to demonstrate a 20 to 30x return on my investment. Now, of course, that may not happen, and of course you may fail, but the way to balance portfolio is that I need to ultimately make several investments, 10 investments. And if only one of them succeeds, which is statistically, historically, what we've seen, 1 in 10 early stage investments succeeds, that needs to create the returns in my portfolio that essentially cover up all of the 9 other, losses. So we're really looking for venture companies, and most companies really aren't venture companies. And that's a very important thing to think about. Part and parcel to that is that you have to be able to have an exit. There's no liquidity in a company that's privately held that I buy into that never gets sold. Maybe I'll get dividends, and that's great. But again, I can't show a return to my investors with dividends that impresses anybody. So, and when my fund closes, I can't hand out stock slips to everybody. That's not satisfying. So if you want to have a company like my dad did and grow a company and have it for his whole life, not a venture-backed company. So growth, exits, all of those things are really critical in the story and also in the journey that you want. And if that's not your journey, then again, venture may not be the right source for your capital. Then you go to your aunts, your uncles, your friends, and you get people who want to be with you on a long-term journey.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Oren. And just, I think one of the things that sometimes gets lost, certainly in the sort of context of Silicon Valley, is that to Oren's point, the truth is that the majority of high growth companies, the majority of companies that are on like the Inc. 500 list, for example, the majority of them did not take venture capital money, right? And so sometimes the role that venture capital plays in sort of the whole mix of growing companies over time can get overinflated. So again, I think you've heard some good thoughts on that, and a great way to sort of end this first session of the Rapid Conference. And I want to just wrap up by, number one, thanking everyone who presented today. We heard some great companies present, and again, I learn every time I see a startup, just as much as hopefully they're getting back from me and the other judges. I absolutely want to thank our terrific panel of judges: Atul Nayak with Eli Lilly, Hoyu Huang with Fresco Capital, and Oren Aliana Charas with Global Impact Health Fund, and Bene with Bene Studio. A couple announcements for everyone. So next, remember there are other sessions in this Rapid Conference. I want to let you know that the next session is a terrific conversation that's going to be moderated by Fabian Beckers, who is really an expert in AI in the health space. And he's going to be moderating a conversation around digital transformation, telehealth, AI, IoT, startups, integrations, legal changes, how to succeed despite corporate challenges. His panel includes John Fryer from Lumeris, Laura Barrera with ECG, Sarah Churchill-Lamas with Winstead, and Bene with Bene Studio. That's going to be at 9:30 Pacific Daylight Time or 17:30 GMT +1. And I also remind you, between now and then, for those of you who are on the Whova networking portion, remember that there's a lot going on that front. And there's a lot of networking to do. There are breakout sessions. So I'm going, as I get off this, I'm going to get on Whova and meet some cool people who are attending the Rapid Conference. So thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the session, and we look forward to seeing you on another Rapid Conference session, maybe in the coming months or so. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sandra, and thank you for everybody. In the name of Bene Studio, we also would like to thank your participation. It was a really
Thanks,
great
everybody.
session.
It was so much fun. Really great time.